Hi, it's Kelly Mack right here on 106.7 WTLC TV edition of the Kelly Mack Show. And with me today, the lovely, beautiful, classy Miss LaPortia Renae.
Thank you.
Hey, thank you for being here.
No, thank you for having me.
Oh my gosh, your album doesn't come out until March 31st, but I got a copy today in the mail.
Yes.
And I knew you were coming, so I had to go ahead through the CD. You ever like listen to a CD where you're like, well, I can't listen to the whole 45 minutes, but I'm going to give each song about a minute and a half?
Right.
I did that. And I haven't done that for a long time.
Wow.
You intrigue me.
Wow.
You do. Not only were
you
you on American Idol, a lot of people know you from American Idol, but your sound, it's like so soulful.
Thank you.
It's like a cross between neo soul, funk, and
and
a little, even a little hip hop.
Right.
I love it. And on the
Thank
album,
you.
you have this little black, what would we consider this right here? Like a little
tail.
A tail.
Yeah, a train.
And there's a beautiful baby with a little tutu under it. And I got to ask, is this your daughter?
That's my daughter. That's my baby girl.
You just have one?
Yes.
And how old is she?
She's 2.
She's gorgeous.
Thank you.
Just like her mama.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So this is LaPortia Renae's brand new album. It comes out March 31st. It's called Already. Now, the question is, why the title? Already.
So a lot of people, I kind of, the whole album cover concept was to embrace all of my insecurities. So I was a single mother. I was a domestic violence survivor. I was big bone. I was natural haired, so all of those were kind of like stipulations that people put on, like making it in the industry. You don't want to have kids. You don't want to, be a little on the thick side. You want to do this and do that. So already was basically saying, I embrace what I am, who I am. This is me. Take it or leave it. So it was, that's basically what it was saying. And I wanted to not only embrace my insecurities, but the insecurities of others who may have the same insecurities I have. Because it's not a lot of times that you see, a full-figured woman, representing on such a huge platform. So
Absolutely.
I wanted to give us that moment and that, just let everybody know they're beautiful in their own ways, so to speak. You don't have to do a specific thing to get ready for something that you want to do. You're
just already ready.
Right.
Yeah. And the old school folks say, if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready.
You don't have to get ready,
yes,
right?
So you said you're all natural. So
yes.
Real talk, is this all your hair?
Yes.
Can I touch it?
Yes, you can.
You go, girl.
But
it's beautiful.
But I do wear weaves and wigs,
Yeah.
so it just depends on the day.
But today, this is all you.
Yeah, that's me.
Love it.
Thank
I wish
you.
my hair would do that. I would wear it like that every day.
It will if you back comb it.
You think so?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna try.
I mean, you got look. I got to do all kind of stuff to prep my hair.
Okay.
I mean, it don't just. I don't wake up like.
You don't
this.
wake up like that.
Nah.
Okay.
But yeah. I mean, you just do. I mean, you do what you feel, whatever day you feel like. And a lot of times I'll switch it up too, because a lot of people like to touch my hair. So I don't really like people touching my
That's why
real
I asked
hair.
first, because
But, I'm not going to just, I'm meeting somebody for the first time. Oh my gosh, I'm such a huge fan. Can I touch you? I'm not going to say no.
Right.
So most of the time when I'm going out, I'll slip like a weave on or something, and, but yeah, for special occasions, I'll go ahead and not be lazy and do my own hair.
Okay. So check this out. When I was listening to your album, you took me back to Jill Scott when she dropped her first album. I do not remember the name of that album, but you know which one I'm talking about.
I think is it
Getting in the Way?
Yeah, and Take a Long Walk.
Right.
And all that.
Yeah. So
I love Jill Scott.
Me too. And I'm like, I have to ask, is she somebody that that you kind of looked up to while you were paving your own way?
You know what I did? I looked up to a lot of the greats. I was really a neo soul baby, kind of, and an old school baby. But my influences are Jill Scott, Erykah Badu, Prince, Whitney Houston, Celine Dion, Missy Elliott. I'm missing one.
India.Arie?
I love her, but she wasn't like one of my Michael Jackson.
Michael Jackson, go figure.
So and I love Peabo Bryson. I love India.Arie. My music spectrum is really far and stretched. So
and I can tell because how you deliver.
Right.
Yeah. So I'm gonna be real with you, and this might kind of take you back a little bit. When I listened to the album, I heard a little bit of Beyonce in there.
Yeah.
I heard a little bit of Erykah Badu, Jill Scott, and even like a little Tina Turner edge. Am I correct by saying
that?
Yeah. I was like, I can't wait to meet her.
Yeah. Look, it was really funny because when we were doing the album, we listened to each song back, and I'm like, that don't sound like the last song. And this, is that me? Like sometimes I'm even taking my voice has a lot of different colors that I didn't even know I had until I started doing the album. So I'm like, because I heard a little bit of Toni Braxton on one of them, Hideout. So I was just like, all right. So my influences kind of came through the music, and that's a beautiful thing to me. I like it because in a way it gives homage to those who paved the way for me. So
absolutely. I love it too. You go from one extreme to the next. I can feel the emotions.
Thank you.
So when you wrote it, I mean, obviously you put a lot of time and effort and emotion into it. So is there anything, like you did mention you are a survivor of domestic violence? Was any of that, the emotions behind that, attached to this album?
Oh yeah, there's a few songs on there that really just like tugged at my soul. And I didn't want the album to be gloomy and depressing and sad, because my life is kind of like that. If I started telling you everything I've been through, I mean, it would just mess you up. But I did want it to touch on those points because during Idol, my fans were really, pissed off. They were mad, and sad with me that I had to go through that kind of thing. And so they wanted a in-your-face kind of moment.
Right.
And I chose to give them that through Good Woman. But I didn't want to spend too much time on it because I was like, he doesn't deserve that much energy. So we're going to do this song and then we're going to, move on. But Hideout was one that I cried on. I worked with Diane Warren, and she wrote Cover Up, which is a song that I dedicated to rape trauma victims and domestic violence victims, because a lot of times you'll be so busy doing things and in your own life you don't really pay attention to who's beside you, and it could be anybody. It could be you, as bubbly as you are. You could be going through something like that. I would never know.
Absolutely.
But sometimes,
by the way, been there, done that.
Really?
Absolutely.
See? But you never know unless you ask. And sometimes we as victims, just when we're in the situation, sometimes we just feel alone. We know we're not alone, but it feels like that. We feel isolated. So sometimes it just takes that push of a button, that random person to come up and say, "Are you okay?"
Right.
Or you want to go out to eat and talk, just to reach out. And then I've had people do that to me while I was going through what I was going through, and I just bust out crying. I'm just like, how did you know? So it's some songs on there that hits on there, hits on different topics that I'm really passionate about. There's a song on there dedicated to the victims and survivors of police brutality.
What song is that, by the way?
That's When in Rome. So a lot of people don't know it because it's kind of coded a little bit. But once I tell you that and you re-listen to it, you're like, oh, it makes sense.
Because I heard it earlier, but
I
didn't pick it up.
They're right. Yeah. So, there's another song on there, Breathe, and that's dedicated to victims of severe anxiety. And people think that's not really a thing, just like they think depression is not a thing and postpartum is not, but all of that's really real.
It's just as real as my asthma.
Right.
I say it all the time. We cannot downplay mental health. Unfortunately, we have a tendency of doing that in our community.
Oh, yeah. They'd be like, girl, you just, this and that. You're just being diva. You're just doing. But sometimes the effects of PTSD, which is something that I struggle with, and rape trauma, it leads to anxiety, and I do suffer from severe anxiety sometimes. So Breathe was that song that just kind of helps you to release, help you to breathe. And sometimes it's kind of hard to do that. People don't understand not feeling like getting out of the bed in the morning, not feeling like eating all day. If you haven't gone through it, you can't really, or you don't really relate.
Right.
But that shouldn't stop us from showing empathy towards one another and just, kind of being there for each other. So there's a lot of dedications on the album, and,
it's very sentimental to you.
It's very sentimental. I made it very personal. Okay. Very personal.
Very cool. Now, I hear you talk about a lot of your story, and it's so true. You never know someone's story behind their glory.
Right.
And I did read up on you and everything, and I read that for about 2 years, you kind of explored on the other side as far as same-sex relationship.
Right.
What made you go that way, and how did you when did you realize that nope, this ain't for me, I'm gonna come back the other way?
So I suffered from a lot of molestation.
Okay.
I was raped, I was beaten, I was abused. Like I went through a lot. And so for 2 years I experienced that side, and I told myself I'm not gonna end up with a man because I don't want to get hurt. And every man around me, I watched a lot of people be hurt in a lot of different ways.
Right.
So I had this conception in my head that, well, if I was with a woman, I won't have to go through these things. And so I that's what I did, and I just, something in me, I say it was God, because I had I went on this journey of faith, and I was introduced to God, and I started really digging into myself and finding out who I was and who I wanted to be. And the more I prayed, the more I meditated, the more I kind of did a deep search within myself. I knew that I wanted to be with a man. I wanted to experience a heterosexual relationship. Right. I wanted to have kids. I wanted a husband. I wanted, the traditional sense of things. And I just chose to go the other way.
Okay.
And, a lot of times we tend to judge other people's walks, and we tend to say what's not possible, and we tend to, and I mean, the thing is, everybody has their own life. Everybody has their own path to whatever, right. And we shouldn't be so quick to generalize things. We shouldn't. Everybody doesn't really fit in a box. Right. You have some people that you can make a label for this, you can make a label for that, but at the end of the day, there's always going to be one or two people. It's like, well, I don't fit in either. I don't do this, I don't do that, right. And it's possible. It shouldn't. We shouldn't be so quick to judge or generalize people's lives or their choices or whatever. At the end of the day, you should live for yourself. You should, talk for yourself. One thing about me, when I'm asked a question, I can only speak from what I've experienced and what I've gone through. I can't speak for anybody else, right. And so I don't. So when I say it was a choice, I say it was a choice for myself. You
personally, right?
That gets twisted all in the internet, and they're like, it's not a choice. Da, da, da. Well, I never said it was a choice for you, but I can right. speak for me.
Okay.
And so at the end of the day, that's what that is. And it's really hard to have a conversation about something so sensitive and so delicate over social media. You know, I'm trying to tweet and there's 140 characters, you know, you can't, but unless you sit down with someone, unless you have walked in their shoes, unless you take the time to hear them out and hear their story and hear their path and their journey, you'll get a better understanding of things, because it's not even always the fact that we think something's impossible or possible. Sometimes it's the fact that certain words or certain terminology can mean something to me that it doesn't mean to you, or I have a different understanding of the terminology than you do, or I have a different opinion as to what it means to me. So there's all kinds of factors that go into that, which is why, you know, I never judge anyone. If someone comes up to me and say, Portia, you know, I understand. And I have gotten fans like that. They say, well, it may have been a choice to you, but it wasn't for me. I'm like, sweetheart, I mean, I believe if that's what you say, you know, I believe you. I'm not going to tell you, no, you're wrong. You know, that's impossible. You can't say that. It's all, you know what I'm saying? For that person, that's their life. That's, you know, so I think, you know, being open-minded like that and showing empathy towards one another is the key to us getting along, and us, you know, cutting down on discrimination and you know, the negativity and the violence towards people just because they're different. Like, I mean, if I ever saw a gay person being, you know, beaten up on or even slandered in public, I mean, you would see another side of me, because it's just not right.
Because at the end of the day, they're human.
At the end
like
of the day,
else.
we're one race and we're human.
Absolutely.
And, you know, we don't have to have all of these labels. We don't have to have all of these boxes. We don't have to fit into all of these boxes. We're just human beings.
We are who we are. Absolutely. Yeah. Love it. Love it. I love the fact that you're very open and that you don't have a problem sharing your testimony, which a lot of people do, because without tests, you never have that testimony. Right. So we love that you shared it. I got one last thing before you leave. I want to know if you've seen this picture yet, because it is a hot topic today in the world. Renae, the comedian, you know who she is?
Renae. Yes, I met her with this. Oh.
Yes. So the word is she's making history as the first African-American female plus size over 40-year-old woman to pose naked in Penthouse magazine.
Wow.
She's 50 something. Your thoughts on that?
You know what? I met Renae. Renae's crazy.
Yes, she is.
But I love her bubbly personality. You know what? I mean, I don't really get involved with, just I say that
I'm just saying because you spoke earlier that you don't have a problem representing, the thicker women. So
I say, if that's what she wants to do her. More power to you. Right. I don't know what to say. I don't know what you want me to say.
Love it. Hey guys, if you have not heard of LaPortia Renae, please Google her. You've learned a lot about her here in this interview today. Her new hit single is Good Woman. It's top 10 on the urban R&B charts right now. We will be hearing it on the Kelly Mack Show and also on 106.7 WTLC. The album LaPortia Renae already is in stores March 31st, which is what, Tuesday?
Yes,
of next week. Yeah. Okay.
A week from now.
And this is your first time actually seeing the physical thing.
I don't even have that. How do you have that and I don't have that?
Well, my name is Kelly Mack. I work in radio. Thank you so much for sharing with us today. I enjoyed talking to you. I was so excited to talk to you too. So it's been nothing but a great honor and pleasure.
Thank you. The honor's all mine.
Yes, ma'am.